Good evening, Kevin Stangoe. How are you doing today?
Evening. Yeah.
You keeping all right?
Greetings from sunny Norfolk.
Norfolk. How did you end up all the way down there?
Um, just a sort of a joint career move. My wife had gone through uni and decided, and one of the jobs that came up was a job in Norwich. So I transferred within the civil service. So yeah,
I guess that's quite easy to do, is it? No civil service.
it was then,
What? Sorry, how long
but
ago
not
was that?
now. I've been down here 20 years, 21 years nearly,
Really?
1999.
Wow, it's amazing, isn't it?
Yeah.
And you were brought up in Scotland?
Oh yeah, yeah. I went to school in Edinburgh at Firhill,
Did you really?
played at, yeah. I mainly there and worked in Edinburgh for a while, moved to Livingston for a few years as well, and then moved down here.
I always think civil servant. Everybody that says civil servant, everybody works for civil service. Never tell you what they actually do. It's like a
I'll give you
secret
the big
code.
title, Department for Work Pensions.
Oh, the DWP. Yeah, that's the good
Yes,
side. I think it's.
yeah.
Do you think people don't do that because of the Inland Revenue?
Well, my brother-in-law and I, when we used to go into Edinburgh and get a taxi back out towards Livingston wise, could kill a taxi driver's conversation by saying I work for DWP
Oh
and he
yeah.
worked for the tax office.
Oh, I
So
can only.
it
I can
was
only
a good way if you
imagine
didn't want to engage with the taxi driver.
in a conversation. So
Yeah,
okay, let's start with the question. So your
yeah.
full name, please, Kevin.
It's Kevin Gordon Stango. Never used the Gordon.
Didn't you? Where does that come from, Kevin?
I've no idea. I think my mum just liked, well,
Well,
Kevin wasn't very popular when I was born, and
Gordon's a
neither was
very.
Gordon. So,
It's a very strong Scottish name, isn't it, Gordon? It's a very
yeah,
Scottish. Yeah.
yeah.
And your age now?
I'm now 58.
58, cool. And your home area, where were you born?
I was born in Hamilton, moved to Mayfield for how old was
That's
I then?
Dalkeith,
About
isn't it,
4.
Mayfield?
Yeah, Mayfield Dalkeith. Then moved into Edinburgh when I was in primary 3.
And when was it you took up badminton?
Well, I was at Oxgangs Primary School where Dougie's already laid some of the ground rules, laws on that. I learnt and started playing when I was in primary 7 at Oxgangs,
Well,
initially by Elmer Christie,
really? Yeah.
who was Dougie's mixed partner for a lot of the time.
Really?
Yeah. And then, so we only played at lunchtimes.
Sorry, what age were you there? Like 7 or 8 or something?
Oh no, primary. I was quite a late starter, as I was told. I'd be about 11. Primary 7.
Oh, yeah, really old.
Well, for some of
Really
the kids,
late, really
for
late.
nowadays, yeah,
Yeah, I know. Well, you
yeah.
hear some of the stories, don't you? Oh, yeah, I picked up
Oh
a
yeah.
racket. I'm just waiting
And
for
so,
somebody saying, I played my first racket, first rally at 2. That's where you're going to get somebody. I'm
no,
going to beat
I
Hardy tomorrow night. That
actually
was probably him.
no. When I was 2 or 18 months, I actually swung a poker like a golf swing.
Really?
My father was a golf professional,
Oh,
so
was he? Really?
yeah, various
Whereabouts?
clubs. He was Hamilton, then Craigmillar Park, then
Really?
Musselburgh Golf Club, Monkton Hall,
Oh, really?
and he finished his last few years before he retired at Harborne in West Calder.
In West Calder? Wow. Well,
Yeah.
interestingly, I don't know if you know Bill Fleming. He lives on the borders of Monkton Hall, and Arthur Campbell, who recently passed
I
away, and but that was
I
really
knew
sad.
Arthur very well. Arthur and I followed a very similar path, being Firhill, coached by Dougie.
Right?
We both then went on to Nomads, where I
Really?
played with and against him, and we were both members of Craigmillar Park at some point.
That's right. He was mad
So
on Craig Miller Park. He loved it. He
he
said
was,
he was
yeah,
always
very,
talking.
very sad.
He was sad. And what about golf yourself? Do you golf?
I've kind of, through lockdown, when we courses were opened again, I started back playing again, so I want to get back into that a bit more. So,
Yeah, it's nice. It's good exercise. It's good to get outside.
yeah.
You can't do anything indoors, so you might as well do things outside.
No, you can't play. We can't play golf down here at this moment. But
Yeah,
the only thing you can do is I could go fishing, but it's too cold.
yeah. The golf is open in Scotland still. People
It
can
is.
play golf up here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
In Scotland you can, but not down here.
And what about your father? Is he still about?
No, he died about 13 years ago. So
Oh, I'm sorry.
my
Yeah.
mum's still there. Mum still lives in Edinburgh.
Does she?
My mum used to go to one of Dougie's nightclubs at Firhill School on a Monday night. Yeah.
Really? Wow.
Yeah.
Isn't that amazing? Wow.
Yeah.
Do you have any brothers or sisters, Kevin?
Yeah, I've got a younger brother, Gary, who also played, came along behind me, did the Firhill Nomads and whatever, and what we both did after that, etc.
What was your age difference?
3.5.
3.5 years, yeah.
Yeah.
What was his name? Sorry, I missed that.
Gary.
Gary.
Yeah.
And was he better than you?
Well, there was a bit of both. We played doubles together at one point.
Did you?
I think he must have been about 18, 19. I was maybe 21-ish. We played a few tournaments together. We did all right. We had some good results. Got to the final of Dunfermline Open
Did you?
to get annihilated by Big Ian Pringle and Brian Stewart, etc. So, but there is a follow-on to that. I play Masters, county badminton for Norfolk, and
Okay.
in England, around about this time of year, there's a inter-county weekend where all age groups go. There's 5 different venues, so it's huge. So we were kind of struggling for a gent, and at that point, I think one of Gary's friends, Sarah, was playing for the Norfolk team. So we were struggling. So Gary said, "Well, I'll bring my stuff. If we need me, I'll play." So we played along, and then the very last match we were playing against Worcestershire. So we said we won a game of doubles together. We haven't done it for 30, 35 years. We walked on court, and it was like just going back 30, 35 years, how we gelled.
Yeah.
So there must be something about how to play with someone
With
all the time,
someone.
or whether it was this brotherly intuition.
Yeah. I've got
But
a brother
the
I played
best,
with. I've got a brother I played with, Barry. He plays in Crieff, and we came to an EBA tournament, and we did terribly. so
no,
yeah, but we gelled. We gelled
yeah,
terribly.
now we were all right. And as in this one, we ended up playing against, and a lot of people up there will know David Brodie from Musselburgh, who was friendly with Gary back in the day. Played in one of the same Scottish under 15, under 16 teams with him, and he was on the opposition. So we kind of made sure we got to play against him.
How did he end up being? How did your brother end up being in Norfolk? Where does he live now?
He is now in Reading. He
All
came
right.
down here to be a manager of a golf club in Norwich.
Really? And
Yeah,
he's a pro, is he?
my cousin's husband bought a golf course,
Wow.
and he came down to run it. And
That's brilliant.
Gary's now golf club manager at Reading Golf Club and Caversham Golf Club, sort of
Really?
two clubs
And
together.
what was the other one? Reading and what?
Caversham.
Caversham. Right.
It's just on the outskirts of Reading.
Wow.
So
Wow, isn't that
yeah,
amazing? But does he still play as well?
not so much. Although I have seen something on Facebook, whatever, that he was doing because the clubhouse is shut. He was doing some shadow badminton in the lounge on the wooden dance floor.
But
So
have you done any serving into cups over lockdown?
nah, I couldn't be
Have you
bothered.
not? And
I
I
did
feel the
think about
same.
it. I was going to do one. I don't know if you remember in the late 70s, early 80s, probably way too young for you, too
No,
old for you,
I'm 50.
is that the spin serve was about.
Oh yeah.
Sidek brothers held the shuttle upside down, cut across the feathers,
Yeah.
and it went all over the place.
Yeah, there's some interesting YouTube clips of that. It's all these
Yeah.
dodgy serves are dodgy. I should say dodgy, but all of these unusual serves are coming back with a new ruling,
Yeah.
aren't they? With a new height.
Yeah, well, that was That was outlawed in about 1982. So
Yeah. That'll come back, I think. I think you can probably do
I
that
well, I
again.
hope it does because there was a few of us who were quite good at it.
I've got a friend in Edinburgh that does it. Yeah, he's
Yeah.
it's so
Yeah.
unpredictable.
It's a pity you couldn't ask Colin again about it.
Really,
Colin hated it.
did he? Everybody
God,
does.
he
Everybody
hated it
does.
with
Yeah,
a vengeance. So
yeah.
sorry for annoying you, Colin, if you do watch this. But I loved it.
Yeah, it's all good. Exactly.
Yeah.
So, brothers and sisters, that's good. I'm going back to questions. What age were you when you first played, Kevin?
I kind of
Well,
hit
I've kind of
shuttles
covered
back and
that.
forward
Yeah, 11, you
outside
said,
and all
right?
that. But I would say about 11 was when we
11.
really took it
Where,
on.
why, and where did you start playing? And yeah, who was your
I
influence when you
kind
went?
It was Elma Christie got it because she was the teacher at the school who did it in the what was like it wasn't even a gym hall, it was just like a drill hall type thing in the
Yeah.
school. No net. There was a net, but no lines.
Hmm,
Um, but my mum had a net was at Dougie's night
of course.
class. My dad played in the 50s when he was a lot younger, so he wasn't too bad.
Ah,
And I just thought oh, something to do one lunchtime. I went and had a go, and I think I picked it up fairly quickly. Because I said I was only
do you think it's
11,
because? Do you think it's
11,
because
12.
when you? Do you think it's because when you went and your dad maybe you went and you tried it one time and you came home and your dad said, "Oh, I used to play that," and maybe do you think that gave you a little bit of a G up and thought, "Do you know, my dad used to play it."
Mm, I,
So you're very young, obviously, but I would imagine that
not
must be an
not
influence.
not that I can remember on that thoughts because at that point my dad was always pushing golf, 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 and things
Right?
like that. So
Yeah.
um,
It maybe a
yeah,
subliminal thing. It might be a passing comment where he said, "Oh, I used to play that."
yeah.
You know?
I know when I was there, I was waiting. I was waiting till I moved into primary seven so I could go and play. So I must have
Oh
had
yeah.
something in me thinking I want to go and try that.
So that's
'Cause I
brilliant.
think
That's
there
great.
must have been something in me thinking I must have
Yeah.
an inclination to play it. There must be
Yeah, for
something
sure.
in me.
So do you remember your first ever racket?
Yes.
Go on.
First time and last time I ever used a Carlton.
Really?
A Carlton 3.9.
Really? Wow. Yeah. Okay.
It was it had a steel shaft, black T-piece, but it was a steel head but encased in a plasticky cover. Very similar to the plastic covers that were on the school rackets that were Carlton 4.3 or 4.1s, which were either blue or
Wow.
green.
Isn't that amazing? You
It
still
was
remember?
very head heavy. I think I used that through primary. I do remember using it I did play in the Edinburgh Schools primary championships, after taking it up only a few
Oh
months
yeah.
before it. Um,
And was there a lot of people playing when you played them? Was it popular sport with other
huge,
schools? Was it?
huge.
Was that
I
really?
can't remember. I just remember my first tour was being at Forester. It was held at Forester and St
Oh
Augustine's.
yeah.
And I just remember there being loads and loads of kids. Don't ask me how I did in it.
Mm.
Something tells me in my mind I got to the semis, but I might
It's
be
all great.
overselling myself
Have you
on that.
seen? Have you been up to Forester High again and at St Augustine's? Have you been up?
No.
It's all brand new. They rebuilt the
Yeah.
whole thing, and
Well,
the
it's the
facilities are
same
made. I think they've
For
got a
Hills
pool.
completely.
I think they might have a swimming pool as well. No,
Yeah.
very
But
impressive.
no, that was where most of the schools tournaments were held at that
Yeah, it's good.
stage.
It's good. Right, conscious of time. What was the name of your first club? Yeah, what was the yeah?
I
When
went
you were
from
outside of school, I'm talking
I
here, right?
played a lot at Firhill because I was only 30 when I went to high school. Obviously, I was with Dougie then. Both Dougie and Elma played for Nomads, and
Right.
Firhill School Club just with the Firhill pupils. And then there was a Friday night club established, which became a hub of Edinburgh badminton. Um,
In
before I
Firhill.
was coming through, massively, everybody from Edinburgh used to come on a Friday night and play
The,
from 7 o'clock. I'd
wow.
leave. I'd finish school at 3:45. Then there'd be a school club till about 5:30.
Mm.
Then there was another club from 5:30 to 7, which were school players and some intermediaries, and then 7 o'clock was what you wanted to aspire to. So I kind of went through that.
And was that grown-ups? That was everybody, all age groups?
No, it was all juniors.
Oh,
But there was the odd coach came along and whatever.
So
yeah,
it was. Where was that held?
Firhill High.
It was at Firhill High, and all the different people from all the different schools,
All different
went to
clubs.
Firhill High.
Yeah,
Wow.
it was a who's who of Edinburgh badminton, age group badminton at that
So
point
up
in
to
time.
16, 17-year-old, really?
Yeah,
Wow.
yeah. I used to dip back even after I'd left school. Go back just on a Friday when I wasn't doing anything.
How fantastic is that? That's gone.
Yeah,
That has gone, that, for sure.
yeah.
Do you
Then
remember?
I was probably the youngest member of Nomads, because you're talking, this is mid 70s to start with,
Wow.
mid to sort of mid late 70s. It was unheard of juniors being at a senior club,
Oh,
and
that's
I think
great.
that was what there was. Maybe a few of us went, but I think they wanted you to be 16 before
Yeah.
you could actually be a Nomads.
I'd say. Where was Nomads at the time, Kevin? Was it St George's always?
Oh no. We when I first went, we've played. I think we played out at Last Wade. It's for some point.
Was
I
it?
do remember playing out there as a really youngster, because they used to play on a Tuesday and a Thursday. We've played at Last Wade, Craig Lockhart, Foresters for a long time.
Amazing. Well, let's get back to the questions. I'm going off track here.
That's
I'm
what
only
it is.
on question. I'm only on question 9. Everywhere 21, and we're already 17 minutes in, and I've only got 35. I get cut off at 35.
Right.
Do you remember the shuttles you used?
RSL #1 tourneys at
RSL one
Nomads
tourneys. Ooh.
and in the Edinburgh leagues, but it was for the school stuff. It was plastic shuttles. Carlton.
Do you remember what they were?
Nothing more.
Carlton and Mavis 300.
Carlton. No, just Carlton. No, they were even way before Mavis and all this.
And your first coaching, was that Dougie, really? Or was
Dougie.
that,
Dougie
no,
was
it
my
wasn't
first
really. It
coach.
was it Emmy Christie? Was it?
Elma got me started, but
That's
I would
good.
say more coaching was when I got to high school with Dougie, and then
With Dougie. Mm-hmm.
the rest of the Edinburgh schools coaches and beyond.
That's brilliant. Do you remember your first ever tournament?
Well, I did play in the Edinburgh primaries. I don't know how I did, but my first one that I did, I remember doing well in, was the Edinburgh schools under 14. And I was fully under 14, which I then did the treble. I won the singles, doubles, and mixed.
Nice work. What was do you remember what your favourite event was? Is it singles, doubles, or mixed?
As a youngster, it was always singles. You always just you were selfish. You wanted to do that.
Question. I'm very interested in this subject about family. Did you, when you played singles, how much did you compete with your brother?
The age group difference at that point was huge. 3.5 years. Dougie when I was up in September, I was able to meet Dougie at Swanston, and he gave me a whole pile of memorabilia and results and whatever, which I'm slowly putting on the Badminton Memories page.
Right, good.
He did have one of, I don't know what year it was. I must have been in 4th year, and Gary would have been in 1st year. So that equates to that. And there was the Firhill High School Championships, and Dougie's got the full results.
Yes.
And I don't know if Gary will ever watch this, but I had to play Gary. And I think the scores were something like, I think there might have been a round figure in there, as in 0.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I'm not sure. But it wasn't. It was very low single figures.
Yeah. Did he ever beat you, singles?
Possibly in training. I never played him in singles in a tournament.
Oh, didn't you? No. But in training.
Possibly as time went on, because when I got to 18, I kind of got fed up with singles.
Yes. But do you realise he's probably aspired to beat you? You realise that, don't you?
Yeah, more than likely.
Probably.
Yeah,
It's good for badminton's great for that. That's what I grew up with.
yeah,
That's
yeah.
great
I,
for that.
I once I got through the under 18s and it was more a choice. I only used singles as a warm up when I played in tournaments.
Yeah, really. Yeah.
From then till when I gave up.
And who do you think your main competition was growing up? Who did you aspire to be? Who was your Gary?
Oh, I don't know if I ever aspired to be anyone. I had a lot of competition, sort of various age groups all the way through. I had a good rivalry at under 14, 15, 16, so all the way through from that to 18 with Kenny Middlemast,
Oh yeah, okay.
and others from the rest of Scotland because it was a good time. There was a lot of really good players
Yeah,
in Edinburgh and around, which I
yeah,
think filtered down from the national coaching of Roger Mills and his involvement with the junior teams at because he was my coach. Oh, when I first he coached me was at under 14. He was the coach of the under 16 Scottish team that was in and the under 18 Scottish team that I was in. So he was the head coach, which Alan Campbell then came in and became the national coach, and Roger took more of a back seat.
yeah. So should we say Kenny Middlemast, do you think?
Yeah, Kenny and I had a rivalry at that
That's
age
good.
group. Yeah,
That's what we like, that name. Okay,
yeah,
I'm moving on to the current time. We're 20 minutes in, I've got
yeah.
15 to go. Okay, so your current state, where do you play now?
I play at a club
Obviously, present
called
circumstance
Tasborough. I
considered.
play that plays in the Norwich and the Norfolk and Norwich leagues. So I
What club
play.
do you play for?
It's called Tasborough.
How do I spell that?
TAS Borough Burgh.
And that's in Norfolk, is it?
Yes, well, it's a tiny village, but we actually we play in another village now, but it's in a school sports hall. So
Oh, school sports. Oh, it's good.
yeah,
That's nice. Norfolk's lovely, isn't it? It's flat, right? It's quite flat, isn't it, Norfolk?
that's what everybody says. It's hillier. You come down on a bike and you'll find it's a little bit hillier than you think.
Certainly between Scotland and Norfolk is definitely quite hilly on the way.
Oh yeah, there's a big difference there.
Oh, good. So, what's your favourite racket? What do you play with now?
I had to go and dig them out because I knew you were going to ask this. But to me, it's another Yonex. I had to bring it up. I've got a Voltric Force.
Voltric Force.
It's
Okay.
probably about 5, 6 years old.
Let's have a look. Nice. Look at that. What?
And because I'm playing for Norwich and Norfolk,
The-
but
Very good.
I've got another two which are my backups are Ashaways.
Are they? Yeah.
Yeah, nano titaniums.
You remember
And
you
I've
said
and
earlier? You said earlier on your first racket was a Carlton. What did you go to after that? Sorry, come back to that racket.
my dad had a racket, a Yonex whatever, Yonex 9000, steel
Right.
shaft, green head, etc. I used that for a while, and
Yeah.
then as I was progressing, he got me a couple through a contact in Yonex. He got me 2 or 3 Blackens, which were the Yonex 810, which had a very thin shaft, and but they were all painted all black. That's what they're called, Blackens.
Interestingly,
Yeah,
one of your first
I
comments.
used them for about 3 years because I then got a contract with Yonex at
Nice
15. So I got quite a few of them under
rackets.
clothing.
So sorry, Kevin. Going back.
Yeah,
At the beginning, you said your dad used to play, but didn't really play very often. He wasn't really
yeah. I
into it.
don't know. He was.
But yeah, you've just said he gave you a racket,
Yeah,
which you played with for years.
he went and bought a racket because he
Did
thought
he?
he would come and help us and play.
Did he? Oh, that's good.
Yeah,
Is that when you were getting coached? You thought he'd come along. That was good.
I he did. I did play against him sometime at some point. I was due to be. We were down in Stranraer, and I needed to just keep practicing, keep hitting a shuttle. And I think I was due to be playing in the schools quadrangular in Cardiff. To keep my eye in, we went in there to one of the old schools in Stranraer and got a court. It's
Yeah.
like more a church hall type one. Um, and that's where he had that. He then had that racket back to him, I think, because I was then
It's good.
using Blackens at that
It's good. You
point.
maybe like to write. We're running short of time. I don't want to run out
Yeah.
of questions. Your tension and your strings now?
Oh, the Yonex one, I think, is 27, 28.
Do you
Quite
still
tight.
get a restrung? Do you wait till the break till you restring, or do you just?
Yeah, I kind of.
Yeah.
That one, I playing in the civil service, and from my department, I go down to High Wycombe, and one of the Yonex stringers that does the All England, guy called Mark Lawrence, who was a good junior as well from England.
Well,
He does. I get him to restring the racket, so it's like
good.
every couple of years I get a full restring.
Nice.
So he knows what strings I've got in it. He knows what tension he did the last one. So
Amazing, isn't it? So you keep
yeah.
in touch with him. That's good. I've got a note of that name. Mark Lawrence, is that right? That's good. How do you manage family life in badminton? Have you got kids, Kevin? No.
Well, I can't say she's a kid because she's 28, but
Yeah.
no, I just
You can do
just
your own
managed to
thing
work
now.
around. I kind of no. There was a time I gave up because I took glandular fever about 84.
Yeah.
That knocked me for
Is that when
6. I
you
tried.
moved? Did you say when you moved you were ill?
No. When I moved, I took L84 and I kind of gave up from about 85 till about late 80s. Started playing again a little bit for Torficking at that point,
Yeah.
with Craig Robertson, Gary, and all the juniors that Gary and Craig were coaching at that point.
Yeah.
But when I moved here in 99, I think I played more in the first 6 months from moving here than I did in the previous 6 years.
Fantastic.
So,
Isn't that fantastic? What about your
yeah.
daughter? Does she play?
No.
No.
When she went through school, she wasn't sporty,
Yeah.
academic but not sporty.
It's not everybody, is it?
Yeah, and
Funny enough.
I'll get a mention in because I played for Greenbank Church as
Oh, did you?
well.
Did
Yeah,
you? Yeah. Greenbank. Yeah, there's a golf course there,
yeah.
isn't it?
What Greenbank?
Yeah, isn't that a golf course? Isn't there a golf course up that way? What is it called? The
No,
Edinburgh something. Is
Greenbank's
it
the
Merchants?
church.
What's the Edinburgh
Greenbank Church.
Merchants up that way?
Yeah,
Isn't the Merchants Club that way?
yeah, it's over the other
It's
way.
over there. It's up that way, isn't
Greenbank
it?
Church is at the corner of top of Morningside Road, and you've got and you carry on. You've got
Yes.
Braeburn Valley on your right.
Yes.
That's
Yes.
Greenbank Church there. If it's
Wow.
still there, I think it was there the last time I was there.
Wow. What was your favourite event now? Is it doubles or mixed?
Gents and mixed.
And,
I'm equally comfy with both. So
and do you have a partner that you play with regularly now? Or
I I wouldn't say regular. Maybe in the county matches, I've got a partner that we gel very well, but it just depends because veterans badminton, you've not always got the same team every week, every month. So it's
yeah,
one a month. So it's a struggle to have the same team every month. But
for
I've
sure.
got one partner who we do play very well together. Because we did last in the same competition I played against with Gary in a year before that, I played with my partner Eddie, and it just so happens we were in the same group as West Scotland, which contained Ross Gladwin,
Oh, really?
Tommy McBriar, Jim Torrance, and all them.
Yeah.
And now Ross and Jim will probably hate me for adding this in because we kind of fixed it. I was supposed to play, me and my partner was supposed to play against Ross and a guy, Dougie McBriar.
Right.
But Dougie had the flu, so Jim stepped in to play with him because Ross and I played doubles together for a good two years,
Really?
playing in tournaments and playing for Lothian first county team. So we cut the long story short. It was a cracking game, which Ross says, yeah, the only reason it was a cracking game is because we won. We actually won 24-22 in the third
Wow.
from being 2016 down in the third. Yeah.
Wow. That's what you call hardcore.
So if you ever ask me if am I competitive or whatever,
That was
That
going
is
to be
the
the next
most.
question. How
Is it?
do you feel as competitive now? But I think I know the answer to that. I think
That is the most competitive I have been on a badminton court
really,
for
really,
a very long time and since.
yeah, I like Ross a lot.
But
So,
Vets County badminton is very, very competitive.
yeah, is it?
Very. It's you go on court and the stand, especially in the inter counties down here, is pretty high.
I would imagine. Can you tell me what? It's a really hard question to ask. What do you think the best part of your game is?
I gents doubles wise, I've got a very tight serve,
Yeah,
good serve, which when I see juniors now and I see their serving, I my stomach churns how bad and how certain people, even world class people who can't serve, really gets to me.
I know.
I will
Yeah,
be using the
I think.
Gabby Adcock. That really watching
Oh,
her just.
I can't say anything, but I think it's yeah. It just astonishes
But
me.
yeah, no, I think I'm not because I'm not that tall. I'm very much a four court player, and I've
Oh
got
yeah.
a good defence, so
Yeah. How's your backhand?
that's all right.
Is it?
Yeah, yeah.
You see some people that
It's got
improve.
stronger as I've got lazier and older.
Oh, really? I've got no
Yeah.
backhand.
So this harpoonal skip to do a round the head.
Yeah, I'm big on that. I'm big on that. Having such a bad backhand, I have a problem with my thumbs. I'm double
All
jointed
right.
in my thumb,
Oh, you
and
got there's no
so when the
pressure.
racket is in my hand
Yeah,
for a backhand, I can't. I find it hard to apply. It makes a lot of people churn, but
yeah,
I find it hard. But at the same time, it gives you good angle. I think you'd probably
yeah,
find there's a lot of international players. They call it hypermobility. So I've got my
yeah,
joints are very, very, very flexible. There's
yeah,
a Yamaguchi. If you look at her, she is. You can tell normally by the way somebody walks or the way the hypermobility is an element of your joints which can go in the opposite direction,
yeah.
and it can create. So I can play a backhand shot which nobody else can do because the racket can literally go back. You imagine back here, right?
Yeah.
Because I've got my thumb on the backhand and it's all the way back here somewhere, so I can actually create crazy angles. But unfortunately, I just don't. I struggle to get because it keeps going back for a backhand clear. I
I was going
struggle.
to say struggle for a bit of power.
Clear, yeah, that's exactly. The backhand
Yeah.
power is where I do struggle. Sometimes somebody said I should tape it one time. I had that advice before. So okay, 32 minutes in, brilliant. So the final question is, what is it? Do you think about badminton that made the sport of you could have played golf and just got into that? Do you know why it was that was it the you tell me?
I think I was because I took to it so quickly, and the fact that you were winning things,
Yeah,
meeting people as well. That's the massive thing. Is just the camaraderie and friendships that the sport has built for me
yeah.
is my biggest thing I take out of it.
Do you think in life it gives you confidence in day to day life because you're meeting different people and you're going? I found myself I'm in sales now and I'm quite ballsy.
Yeah,
So I'm quite confident, and when I went on court, I feel so confident when I walk on a court where I could feel like quite anxious, but
I
when I
know what
walk
you
on a
mean.
badminton
Yeah,
court for some reason,
no, I'm not. I would never say I was ever a confident person,
right.
although I'm probably more so now, and more so in my badminton ability as well.
Do you feel
Um,
different when you walk onto a badminton court? So when you're standing on the sidelines, you feel a certain way. When you walk on a badminton court, how do you feel it's different? Do you think?
phew, I don't know if I could put that into words at the moment.
Like I
Because
don't
I've
feel very
played,
confident. I can feel really quiet, and then when I walk on a court, I can go, "Wow, here we go."
sometimes, yeah, there was that feeling now. And there was
Yeah,
times that you could walk on a court and you just think, I know this is going to be good. I know even from the first couple of rallies, you think, I've got this.
yeah, it's
I
good,
know
isn't it?
this is going to be easy. Or you go and then you're playing doubles and you put the first couple up and you see the guy hits a couple of good big smashes and you get them back and whatever. Then that means you've got once you know your rising, the world's your oyster.
Who's the best person do you think that you've ever played? against?
Ooh, doubles wise, Billy Gilland and Dan Travers.
Oh, brilliant.
Practiced against them at a young level. I played against them in there. When Kenny and I were under 17, we played, because I've got a whole pile of magazines, it reminded me we played Billy and Dan in the quarterfinals of the Scottish Nationals. Got whipped quite easily, but they were just, well, they were world class.
That's right, they were, yeah.
Singles wise, I was lucky enough to play against Steve Butler, Andy Good, Darren Hall,
Did you?
all European junior, all European seniors, winners, etc. Although when I played Darren Hall, I think I must have been about 18, 19. Darren was, he was the same age as Gary, about 14. He would have been about 15. I played him in the Bells Championship of the Highlands.
Fantastic.
Yeah,
That's some great
I
times.
played all the Scottish ones. You know, you can't pick. Billy and Dan stand out in the doubles. So
That's brilliant. Good, we're out of time.
no worries.
Kevin, thank you very much for Talk Badminton. It was
That's
really
fine.
enjoyable. I hope you've been enjoying the programs. They've been good fun so
Yeah,
far.
funny. It would be interesting to see the comments.
Thank you. We'll talk again. Thank you. All the
No
best.
worries.
Nice to meet
Cheers,
you.
Martin. Good
Cheers.
luck
Thank
and
you. Cheers.
stay safe.
Thank you to you and you.
Yeah.